Hi, we're Bonnie and Greg Dixon for Storybound TV, and today we're talking with Gloria Grace Rand.
And I just have to share with you a bit about Gloria before we get started. She helps coaches, consultants, and service providers get ideal clients with intuitive business coaching. Plus, she does heart centered copy that attracts and engages your clients. I also love that she's a best selling author, a keynote speaker, podcast host. But this is what really grabbed me about Gloria. She's a web to wealth marketing expert. So, Gloria, welcome to Storyvan TV. And we want to hear what's new with you. What's going on?
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me on the show. I'm delighted to be here. What's new with me? Well, one of the things that's new with me is I have just launched a Facebook group that is called Self Love and Self Worth for Women Over 40. And because that's something that I can relate to, because it's something I had to learn how to do and did through the process of actually writing my book, Live, Love, Engage, How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. So I decided that I wanted to be able to help other women who are also going through that challenge, shall we say. I don't want to say struggle, but let's just say challenge or maybe opportunity. So that's what I'm working on right now, and I'm really it's brand new. I think we got 22 members in the group so far. And I'm looking forward to really being able to serve and support women in this way, and through the other services that I offer. As you mentioned, I am an intuitive business coach, and I also offer my business for the last 10 plus years has been SEO copywriting, and that's helping business owners to connect with their ideal clients online by writing copy that attracts, engages, and converts. And as much as I still enjoy doing that, I really have felt called in the last few years to go deeper with people, because I've wound up coaching clients informally over the years anyway, and but now with the launch of my book, I really want to be able to really help people overcome some of their self-doubts, and some of this imposter syndrome is a term that gets bandied about a lot, but it is something that we do struggle with, especially with social media the way it is. People see so many others who appear to be achieving more than maybe where they are or they feel they should be, and so that just feeds into sometimes this insecurity and doubts about our self-worth. And like I said, this is something that I've had to overcome as well, and I really believe that we are, number one, we are all spiritual beings having this human existence, and so we are worthy of all the love and joy and abundance that we can have. And so again, that's what I want to be able to help in particular women, but I'll work with men too, because men are awesome, and sometimes men struggle with confidence just as much.
When we think about someone with not even low confidence, but someone who's starting a new project, where do they get stuck with what might be their stuckness, and then
Uh,
how could you help them?
oh, sure. I love that question. When you're starting something new, well, number one, it's new. And so, so depending on how far out of your comfort zone it is, then it can be really daunting to be able to starts that way. And just, I'll give you a case in point from my uh, background. When I first got this idea to write a book, and I was sort of struggling with it a little bit, but I was working with a coach, and he suggested that I start doing some presentations about it. And that thought scared me, because everyone in my circle, certainly my local area, when I was doing in-person presentations, I was always talking about social media or blogging or SEO, copywriting. But to actually step out of my comfort zone and start talking really about spirituality and love scared me. but I did step out of my comfort zone, and I did actually give a presentation to a group, uh, and it was well received, and that helped me get over that initial fear and gave me the confidence to start moving forward. So my advice then to someone who is maybe feeling a little insecure is to see if you can do some sort of baby step towards that, doing some little bit that will start moving you in the right direction, something that will help you to start gaining confidence, because then the more you do it, it won't be so new anymore. And or also, I should say, is to get some support if you need to, reach out to a coach or a mentor, someone who's done what you are attempting to do, and get some support there, because you don't have to do things alone. That's another lesson that I have learned over the years, is that there are other people out there who are willing, in fact, are really willing to help you if you just give them half a chance. They're waiting for you to ask.
Yeah, so many people don't realize that all the people we think of are successful. Let's say the Olympics are going on right now.
Right.
None of those people made it there without a coach.
Oh, yeah.
Not one of them. And not only that, they put in a lot of hours of practice. So back to what you're saying is, we all need a coach, even if we're at the top of our quote game. They
Oh,
all have coaches.
yeah, absolutely. And that's how they continue to advance, frankly, is because they do have that support. They do have a coach, because oftentimes what happens is that we're maybe going along and we're trying to accomplish something, and sometimes because it's so close to us, we don't see some of these blind spots. We don't see things that we might be doing or not doing because we're in the thick of it. But when you have someone who is more objective and who can look at it from the outside, they can say, hey, did you know that you're doing this? Or, hey, you might want to try doing it this way, because I think you might have better results. And you'll be like, oh, yeah, let me try that. I never even thought of that. And that's what happens, because we're in the weeds, and we need someone to be able to kind of clear a path for us and help us to be able to move forward. And that's why having a coach is such a wonderful support that you can do.
Right. And so some of the clients that you're working with, I bet not only might they be looking to you as a coach, but that they themselves are coachable, because sometimes we find that if we're resistant and we don't accept the advice, the counsel, the guidance, then we're still stuck. So there's two parts there of the coach and the being coachable.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I like to do when I am working with a coach, and I've learned this from my coach too, is to really just encourage my client to talk. And I don't do as much talking, because I really want them to sort of work things out, because this is the thing too that I believe, is that a lot of us, we really know what to do, even when we're feeling insecure, but we know. We just don't trust ourselves enough. And that's where, you mentioned an intuitive business coach. And that's what I've learned, to tap into my intuition, and what I love helping my clients do as well. Because yes, you do need some outside help from time to time. And you also do have the answers to a lot of your things solutions to problems that you might have, because it may be, again, that sometimes what happens is we get so worked up in our brain that we forget that we have learned something, or that we have a resource. And when we can relax and start, take a few deep breaths, and even do some meditation, and step back and start, being able to relax and tap into our inner wisdom, ideas will come to us, and we'll say, and it might even be the name of someone else to reach out to for help. But when you're all tense, ooh, you can't come up with those things. And that's why one of the things I advocate is pretty much anyone should be able to spend some time in meditation or mindfulness, some sort of a quiet practice where you get quiet, because that's how you can start learning to start listening to your intuition, listening to that inner voice within that is ready and willing to guide you in the direction you want to go.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your book, Live, Love, and Engage. You wrote this book, and who's it meant for?
It is, I think, ideally meant for women entrepreneurs. But as I said, it can really apply to anyone. But I think that's someone who can relate to my story. And I think also someone who has gone through some challenges, some trauma, shall we say, in their past, because that's what I talk about. I grew up in a family. My dad was an alcoholic, and my mom was, in dealing with that, was also had a tendency to be mostly verbally abusive. And so it was a scary household at times. And so I had to, I came up with coping measures to deal with that. And some of that was being quiet and not actually shining my light as part of me really wanted to do. So the book is sort of deals with some of that story, but it's really about the steps that I have learned to be able to start appreciating who I am as an individual. And if I can tell you a quick story of how this came about, is the idea for the book came about actually a couple months before I lost my sister to cancer. And I was meditating, and this idea popped into my head that said, you should write a book about love. And I went, that's crazy. I do online marketing. What do I know about love? This was totally ridiculous sounding to me. And yet, for some reason, I was like, well, okay, I'll go on my computer, and I typed up opened up a Word doc and was like, okay, well, what could I say about love? And the answer came that love was an acronym. I'm like, okay, well, what does that stand for? So the L turned out to be let go and let God. The O was open your heart to receive. The V was value your uniqueness, and the E was embrace your divinity. And as I said, even in the process of writing the book, I wound up sort of exploring what all of these different concepts meant. And I also realized that, the reason I was given this idea to write this book was because I had to learn all these lessons for myself. And because isn't that often the way it is? It's like we learn, we teach what we most need to learn. And that was certainly the case for me. But it was really about, learning to let go of limiting beliefs, like you're not worthy, opening your heart to receive guidance, and valuing my self-worth, and then embracing, really being able to learn how to love myself, because that was something that I really wasn't doing a very good job of, shall we say.
Mm-hmm. A lesson for us all to learn.
Mm-hmm.
How about yourself, Greg? Do you have a question for Gloria? On that beautiful topic she just talked about.
So it's interesting that you realized when you started writing it that you needed to learn the lessons yourself. I think that's where most of the important things is. We create the things that we need ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out other people need them too, so we share them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And are you teaching classes about it as well, or do you?
Yeah, that is my intention to start doing. I'm going to be sharing some of the concepts in this new Facebook group, and I do have some plans to actually start creating a course that will hopefully come out maybe in probably in September, I think is my plan. And I really want to also combine it with learning how to manage money and really learning to actually start not necessarily manage money, but I would say to start to have a better relationship with money. That's actually the phrase I want to use, because that was something that I've also struggled with over the years. It was not having the best relationship with money. And because again, sort of the atmosphere that I grew up in, I didn't have any even entrepreneurial role models, and a lot of limiting beliefs instead I had about money was, you got to work hard for your money, and it's lots of different things. And as a result, I haven't been able to necessarily create as much income in my business as I had intended, but I've done a lot of work on that. And I do know that I think a lot of times where entrepreneurs struggle in particular is they might have the best products and services. They've got an awesome online presence, but yet there is still some reason that they're not making the money they want. And it is because I believe there are some sort of limiting beliefs along with that. So I really want to, I'm working on creating a program where we'll deal with some of that stuff first, and then we'll really start getting into the deeper work, that what I call the love method, that we can actually also, they'll kind of tie in together, I think, really well, and be able to complement each other.
I think that component is going to be very popular. I just read a article about Canadians, and I know it's probably true for many Americans as well, that 30% are close to insolvency at this moment
Mm,
in time. Much of it
mm,
had to do with this last year and a half, but much
right.
of it is the way, as another friend of mine who is a former banker says, banks are not your friend, and
Mm.
how our society actually trains us to be not solvent, in a sense. So here's
Mm,
lots of credit, and
yeah.
here you go. And so I think back to what you're teaching is, if we can be confident and understand money at the same time and choose to do a business,
Mhm.
um, we can actually, will be better served that way with what we're thinking and how we're
Right.
thinking. And so you'll be able to serve people just as myself. I grew up much as you did. Uh, no one even told me how to do a checkbook. I mean,
Mm.
my parents did the very best they could. They were work your bees, go down the road, you work, and
Mhm.
you hold tight to what you got.
Yeah.
But entrepreneurs are another animal,
That's for
and
sure.
we are out there, and there is an ebb and flow to it. But at the same time, if we understand that money is energy, and that
Right.
it is a flow, and we will have, it's like a river, of all
Mhm.
this energy and money going down here, and we're picking and choosing what we're doing as entrepreneurs. And Greg and I ourselves, uh, when we took off 4 years together, we were on a journey, and it's like, what are we going to do when we grow up? And we tried many things,
Yeah.
and some worked and some just did not work.
And
So
yeah,
yeah, and so
and that's
I
okay.
and that's okay. And so I think that what you'll be, how you'll be able to serve people sounds wonderful. I know we'll be looking forward to learning more about your program with that,
Hmm.
for sure, come
Yes.
September of 2021 here. And so, is there anything else you'd like to share? The best way to get a hold of you to find out how you can serve people, best place to get a hold of you, and anything else you'd like to share with us today?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, definitely you can go to my website, which is gloriarand.com, and you can contact me right through the website there. And of course, I'm on social media. As I mentioned, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. Those are sort of my three favorite places. So it's go at Gloria Grace Rand. You should be able to find me there. And oh, and yeah, and one thing I would also invite you to do, if I can mention this as well is that I do also have a podcast. I think you did mention that at the beginning. And it's actually called the same name as my book. It's called Live, Love, Engage. And I do interviews every week. And then occasionally I do my own episodes as well. And it's really about, again, a way to serve and support entrepreneurs, but not only in helping them to grow their business, but really is helping them to improve their mindset. So I say that I share practical advice from a spiritual perspective, and it's to help you to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically. So you can find us on pretty much any of the major podcast platforms. A couple good places right now that I've been checking out is actually Podchaser, which is a really good aggregate, I guess, of a lot of different podcasts. So you might want to go there and
Say
have
the
a
name
listen.
of your podcast again.
It's called Live, Love, Engage.
Fabulous. I look forward to listening in. Is there a particular day of the week that you're doing this?
The new episodes come out every Friday, and so you can definitely count on that. And let's see, I'm trying to remember who I've got scheduled this week. I know it's somebody fabulous. The name is escaping me at the moment, but I know. I've been really blessed to have interviewed quite a range of experts and authors and coaches and people with just a lot of great information to be able to share with people and to help them to, as I said, to improve not only their business, but also their overall life as well.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's all connected, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, we thank you so much for being on Storyvan TV today. And we look forward to learning even more and staying in touch. And I look forward to hearing your podcast. And everyone, connect with Gloria Grace Rand. She has so much to offer.
No, thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gloria.
Thanks.
Bye.